this makes it seem like Israel has assassinated American political figures and will continue to assassinate American political figures. Okay? This part of the video, this part of the bit doesn't seem like a fucking bit. It seems like Mike Huckabee's like, oh, thank God. You're not going to kill me, right, Master? Master, you're not going to kill me, right? First, let's get to the insane sketch that came out of U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu pushing back on the death rumors and putting together a wonderful little sketch. Everything that Benjamin Netanyahu participates in is pretty insane. It like looks insane for normies. And this is not even a little, this is not the exception, okay? It is the rule. This is a very weird video.
Prime Minister,
I gotta pee.
I want you to know the president asked me to come and make sure you were okay.
Yes, Mike. Yes, I'm alive.
I checked that, and I'm happy to see that. But he wanted to make sure because, you guys get along too well.
I know, and we shake hands with 5 fingers in each hand. But I have to tell you, I'm alive, but I have this card.
Oh.
And, don't read it. So it's a punch card.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I erased 2 names on the punch cards. And you see how many more to go on this batch.
You know what the good news is? My name is not on the punch card.
Your name is on the list of the good guys.
Thank you.
And what the president, the U.S. forces are doing is incredible. We're very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them and getting rid of these lunatics who'd like to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city after wiping out Israel. They ain't going to do that. We're wiping them out.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Air and missile attacks from both sides continued overnight. The U.S. Embassy in Iraq was among the targets. Meanwhile, there is breaking news from Israel, which claims to have killed 2 of Iran's top leaders. Imtiaz Taib is near the Strait of Hormuz in the United Arab Emirates. Imtiaz, good morning. So what is Israel saying?
Good morning. Well, Iran has yet to confirm the death of one of its most senior power brokers. His name is Ali Larijani, who Israel says was killed alongside a top commander of the besieged militia. But if this is true, it raises much bigger questions about who is now shaping decisions in Tehran, including here on the Strait of Hormuz, now the epicenter of one of the most dangerous standoffs on Earth.
What? Yes, let me glaze over myself in Trump and murder and genocide over such amazing good guys. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta run this back.
Air and missile attack.
Okay, I gotta run this back because
Mr. Prime Minister,
this is, again, I was peeing. I've already watched it. Now, obviously, I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu is actually killed. Okay, I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu is dead. I think a lot of the people are losing their minds over the AI stuff. They think that like every video is an AI video. Okay. Unfortunately for everyone around the planet that would love to rejoice at the prospect of Adolf Hitler dying somehow, he's very much alive. Okay. So let's just put it out there. That's my take on it. That's my assessment. And it's an unfortunate truth that you must come to terms with. Right. However, this video is still weird as fuck.
I wanted you to know the president asked me to come and make sure you were okay.
Yes, Mike. Yes, I'm alive.
I checked that, and I'm happy to see that. But he wanted to make sure because, you guys get along too well.
I know, and we shake hands with 5 fingers in each hand. But I have to tell you, I'm alive, but I have this card.
Oh.
And yeah.
Like he has an assassination list. He has an assassination list in his pocket, right? Like for this meme, the setup is he has a punch card. And in this punch card, he has a list of targets that he hasn't killed yet and targets that he has killed. This is also his announcement that he's killed Ali Larijani. and his announcement that he's killed the head of the Basij militia.
I don't read it. So it's a punch.
Yeah, and he goes, "Don't read it."
I have this card.
Oh.
And yeah, don't read it. So it's a punch card. Today I erased 2 names on the punch cards, and you see how many more to go on this batch.
You know what the good news is? My name is not on the punch card.
That's a crazy thing to say. Why would you say that? That is so weird, bro. I swear to God, that's just as weird as gifting American politicians like a golden beeper. Am I crazy? Like, is this because of my opinion? Is this because of my attitude? Is this because of my like biases against the genocidal entity? Or does this read as like very strange? It reminds me of when Charlie Kirk was assassinated by the state of Israel, is what some people say, not me. Or maybe I lean into it a little bit. Who knows? Fuck it. We're having fun. And he came out 2 seconds after that assassination and was like, Israel didn't kill Charlie Kirk. It's like, why did you say that? That's weird. That's a weird thing to say, big dog. That's strange.
Your name is on the list of the good guys.
Thank you.
And
like, this makes it seem like Israel has assassinated American political figures and will continue to assassinate American political figures. Okay? This part of the video, this part of the bit doesn't seem like a fucking bit. It seems like Mike Huckabee's like, oh, thank God. You're not going to kill me, right, Master? Master, you're not going to kill me, right?
what the president and the U.S. forces are doing is incredible. We're very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. And getting rid of these lunatics who would like to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city after wiping out Israel. They ain't going to do that. We're wiping them out.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Air and missile attacks from both sides.
Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Like, I don't think this is an AI video. I think it's a real video. But, like, my takeaway from that video is, like, it's a thinly veiled threat. Like, it's very strange. AI script, maybe. Not everything has to be AI, man. I don't know what the fuck is your obsession with AI. Jesus Christ. It's AI, go back to the beginning. Oh my God. Chatter being fucking weirdos. Okay, dude. Benjamin Netanyahu's dead. It's an AI video, and Mike Huckabee is also in the AI video now. Everything is AI. Let's just live in a fucking la-la land where every video is AI. Benjamin Netanyahu's definitely dead, guys. You got it. It makes total sense. I give up. I give up. I can't deal with the cope. It's just so crazy. It's like people constantly fucking posting about like Tel Aviv being nuked. Okay. Oh, look at how Tel Aviv is cratered. Tel Aviv is cratered. Look at this very obviously AI video, right? Like, this is what they don't want you to see. It's Tel Aviv being cratered by a nuke, by an Iranian nuke. And everyone's like, yeah, dude, you guys are being ridiculous. What good does this do? You need to seek truth from facts. Okay. This is not just a Chinese attitude. This needs to be the American attitude. This needs to be the attitude of everyone. We must seek truth from facts. It is a principled stance that I have taken from the beginning of my career as a political commentator. You guys also need to constantly do this, okay? You need to make sure that you have, you need to, so no memeing, no jokes. I can't tell if some people are joking. I think some people do legitimately want to believe that Benjamin Netanyahu was assassinated. But yeah, Betelgeuse says, holy shit. I wasn't sure there were chatters that took us seriously, but someone was freaking the fuck out. Yeah. Like, there are people who legitimately lose their fucking minds. Hasan, you are dumb. R word. He's fucking dead. He's dead. You don't understand AI. Those videos are all AI. Big dog. What the fuck? Boy, you need ayahuasca. Your ego is getting on my nerves. You fucking R word. Fucking deep shit. You don't know anything. No, shut the fuck up, you stupid shit. You think that guy's memeing? Or you think that guy sincerely has lost his dang mind a little bit? It's the same. Like, there are people there are people that just believe that like Pizzagate is real, and they will never ever believe that it's you know, a little ridiculous, right? Like, no, the Pizzagate is real. Like, Jeffrey Epstein's files show that Pizzagate is real. Same with Benjamin Netanyahu's definitely dead. All these videos are AI. You're fucking stupid. You need to take ayahuasca. Wayfair is real. They're trafficking children from the Wayfair website, and you might accidentally get a child in your Wayfair purchase. You know, shit like that. I don't know. What is this? Check this one out, though. This is 100% proof of it. The Israeli scientist currently working on Mecha Yahoo Mark 1 just so people online stop saying he's dead. True. This is real. This is real and true. Anyway. Breaking news. Iran claims they carried out an assassination inside of Iran's Fars news agency, citing unspecified sources, said an operation was carried out by Iranian special forces deep inside of occupied territories about an hour ago, targeting a senior Israeli security cabinet member. See, this is, you know, this could also be wrong, right? This could also be totally fucking bullshit. Because you have to remember, like, it's not like the Iranian state also doesn't have the capacity to stretch the truth, right? Like, we don't know. We need more information. We will get more information inevitably when you see another Israeli security cabinet meeting take place and one of the Israeli security cabinet members is mysteriously absent from that. Well, then that kind of actually gives credence to the statement, right? You have to analyze this stuff critically. You can't just like lean into it because it feels good. You understand? Counterpoint, when have they lied, though? I mean, they've made mistakes, and then they've tried to, like, patch it up. One of the instances I can remember is, like, I mean, like, right now, for example, Iran, of course, exaggerates their striking capabilities because there's an information war going on as well, right? On the one hand, Israel and America are obviously lying when they say they've completely destroyed Iranian strike capabilities. That's bullshit. We know that that's bullshit, right? The Strait of Hormuz is not open. They will also, in times, claim that, yeah, they claimed the Ayatollah was alive, even though he had died on the first strike for for 12 hours after he had very clearly died, right? So there's stuff like that they do. It's minor in comparison to like the faucet of misinformation that comes from the American and the Israeli side, but just like remember. They claimed that 500 U.S. soldiers had been killed, right? They claimed initially that 500 U.S. soldiers had been killed. That was also not correct. The real number is still, like, the number of casualties is still much higher than the way that the American government initially reported it, where they were like, oh, just 6, maybe 10, maybe 20 soldiers have been killed so far. Like, the number's higher, right? And the casualty numbers are at 200 that we know of. So it's probably higher now. But the first day, they had claimed that there were 500 casualties. Right? Casualties imply wounded in action and killed in action, for the record, for those of you who don't know. So everyone plays this game, but you have to be a little bit more critical. You have to be critical, especially, what do I always tell you? If you see a narrative that is so perfectly in line with your beliefs, if you see something that is too good to be true, sometimes it might not be true. Okay, that should cause a little bit more critical thinking in your mind. No, casualties doesn't mean death. Casualties mean wounded in combat or killed in combat. Okay, killed in action, wounded in action. As in, they are no longer capable of returning to combat. Okay, that's what a casualty is. Or even if it's like civilians we're talking about. Casualty just means civilians that are either missing, civilians that have either been wounded, or civilians that have been killed. They're incapacitated. Having said that, however, as far as like offering weight to the statements coming from the IRGC or the Iranian side as opposed to the Israeli or American side, yes, I think the IRGC side, while they also embellish some facts from time to time, their statements are oftentimes on the closer to the side of the truth, right? But that doesn't mean you should unconditionally listen to every single thing that's coming out of the IRGC side and go, this is God's honest truth, and I believe it, and I want to believe it, so fuck you. Okay? Having said that, once again, we must seek truth from facts, as always. And there is one fact that is absolutely correct. The Strait of Hormuz is closed for every vessel, with the exception of those that the Iranian government is allowed safe passage through. This means that the Iranian government still very much controls the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? That's it. Israel now is saying that they've killed 2 senior Iranian leaders as strikes continue. Now, with the Israeli side lies about everything all the time. The American side lies about everything all the time, except for one thing, and that is high-profile assassinations. Okay? They were right about the Ayatollah. The Iranian side said that the Ayatollah was not killed, right, for the first 12 hours or so. And there is a high likelihood that this is correct. Let's take a look at this story now.
Overnight, the U.S. Embassy in Iraq was among the targets. Meanwhile, there is breaking news from Israel, which claims to have killed 2 of Iran's top leaders. Imtiaz Taib is near the Strait of Hormuz in the United Arab Emirates. Imtiaz, good morning. So what is Israel saying?
Good morning. Well, Iran has yet to confirm the death of one of its most senior power brokers. His name is Ali Larijani, who Israel says was killed alongside a top commander of the besieged militia. But if this is true, it would...
The funny aspect of this is that Larijani is a bad motherfucker, okay? He was largely seen as a hardliner in comparison to the previous administration. He was one of the hardliners in the previous formation, but in the current one, he is actually the guy that you can negotiate with because he's pragmatic. So Israel's assassination, if true, Israel's assassination of Larijani, if true, is once again assassinating yet another remaining pragmatic leader that is willing to negotiate with America and find a reasonable conclusion that revolves around de-escalation. So this assassination, just like the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, will only lead to the current existing regime bringing in an even more hardcore individual to replace him. Like, it's crazy. They just keep making the IRGC more militant against American Western intervention, against Israeli imperialism. Okay? Larijani had opposed the succession of Moshtaba Khamenei as Iran's supreme leader and had lobbied the Council of Clerics that elected him to consider changing the vote for a more moderate choice. Larijani was seen as the guy who was much more pragmatic than the other heads of the Iranian government. Okay? America had seen him as a much more pragmatic figure. Now, his opinion might have changed after Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was assassinated, but he was still seen as, like, I wouldn't say he's a moderate. He is a moderate by current standards, but to say that he was always like a moderate is not correct. I think he was a hardliner that was more pragmatic than some of the other leadership in Iran. But even if they killed him, they once again killed one of the only individuals that they could actually talk to.
Raises much bigger questions about who is now shaping decisions in Tehran, including here on the Strait of Hormuz, now the epicenter of one of the most dangerous standoffs on Earth.
The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, under attack with an intensity not seen before, as CRAM air defenses seen here firing into the night sky targeted at least 5 Iranian drones. Some intercepts failed, sparking a fire at the diplomatic mission that had already been evacuated.
This is crazy, by the way. Again, CRAMs lasering in the night sky like shooting stars, and yet drones are fucking drones are being failed. Or drones are actually capable of going through that interception and blowing up the target. Do you understand how fucking scary that is for, once again, the American capabilities? Because that equipment is not only insanely expensive, but it's supposed to be foolproof. Like, it's supposed to be one of the best things, one of the best weapons we have. The idea that a drone can just fly through and still hit that target is crazy. That means that our destroyers are going to have a very hard time in the Strait of Hormuz as well. Okay? Smoke rises from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad as fires can also be seen burning in Central Bank of Iraq Tower, reportedly after it was struck by counter-rocket artillery and mortar system CRAM attempting to shoot down an Iranian one-way attack drones over Baghdad. We are using a weapon that costs $2,025 a second. Okay? $2,025 a second. And it's being thwarted by a $7,000 drone, a Shahed drone that is flying at it. Okay? No, it's $2,025 a second. Okay? It's a fucking flying lawnmower. There is no world. Shaheds are like 50K. That's cope. You're out of your fucking mind. The initial estimate was that they were 20 grand. And then the new estimate was that they're actually closer to 10 grand. The real number is 7 grand. Okay? They are not $50,000 a pop. The American version of it is $50,000 a pop. Or 30, I think. You're absolutely wrong. The ROI isn't bad, though. 2 to 5 seconds of firing isn't that far off for shooting at those drones. Yeah, they're not just doing 2 to 5 seconds of firing, though. They're firing continuously. You're just seeing like a couple rounds every now and then.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
So that's yet another massive, massive defeat for America's capabilities. Once again, they also now have FPV drones all over Iraq as well that they're utilizing, which is going to be devastating for American propaganda. Because once you start seeing American troops or American assets get lasered by the Shia militias utilizing FPV drones in real time, and the clip compilations keep coming out, that shit's gonna be really bad for the war effort. Okay? But let's continue.
No casualties were reported. But it's here, in the Gulf, that continues to be hit the hardest. This Iranian strike on a fuel tank at Dubai's airport has disrupted flights for a second day at one of the world's busiest airports. And this major hit on a large oil storage facility in the UAE's Fujairah saw it burn out of control. As U.S. and Israeli forces continue to pound targets across Iran, they say at least 15,000 so far. And we're day turned to night after a strike on a police headquarters in western Hamadan province. Israel is also continuing its other war on Iran's most important proxy. The Israeli military has begun, quote, limited and targeted ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. According to Lebanese authorities, since fighting began 2 weeks ago, at least 886 people, including over 100 children, have been killed and 1 million more displaced.
And the casualties keep climbing. According to U.S. Central Command, over 200 U.S. service members have been injured across 7 countries since the start of the war. 13 have been killed in Israel, and 14 civilians have lost their lives, while the death toll has passed 1,300, according to aid agencies, with no end to the fighting in sight. Back to you.
MTS Tayyab from near the Strait of Hormuz. Thank you.
It's a great thing. My son and my family, we have a great golf complex in Ireland, one of the best in the world, called Doonbeg. It's in Doonbeg, and it's been amazing. And Rory McIlroy loves it. They all love it. Great golfers. You have a tremendous golf tradition, and it was chosen for the Irish Open, which is a big deal. That's a big event.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Everybody wants me to be there. You just said, I hope you're going to go.
I did.
And we're going to try. We are going to try, but it would be an honor. But it was a great honor to be chosen. They only choose the best courses in the world for the, for the big opens. It's one of the big ones, the Irish Open. It's really become one of the most important tournaments in the world. I hear it's going to be a fantastic success.
It'll be a great success.
Yeah. It's a very hard. It's a very hard course.
Mr. President, what progress have you made, Mr. President, in getting America's allies to assist the U.S. in escorting those oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. I was watching over the last couple of weeks, and all of our NATO allies were very much in favor of what we did. They thought it was very important. We were just discussing it, actually. Very important that we take out the nuclear threat from Iran, and we've done that very strongly, very powerfully. We've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their military in every aspect. Their Air Force is now decimated. They have no Air Force, no Navy. They have no radar. Their radar is entirely gone. Their anti-aircraft machinery is gone. Everything is gone. Their leaders are gone. I guess one of their top person was, they say, a lot of people say their actual top was killed yesterday, along with somebody else who was responsible for the killing. The man that was responsible for the killing of 32,000 people over the last 2 weeks, he was in charge of the killing of protesters. It's an evil group. I mean, they've killed much more than 32,000 people. And the man who was responsible for that was also killed yesterday. And all of the NATO allies agreed with us. But they don't want to, despite the fact that we help them so much, we have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world. And they don't want to help us, which is amazing. I mean, amazing. And I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they probably would be. But we don't need help. That war has been long prosecuted, as far as I'm concerned, almost from day one. We knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy essentially in a couple of days. But I was surprised to see that NATO, while they agree that it was a very important thing to do, they agree fully. Nobody said, oh, you shouldn't do it. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month of when we had the B-2 bombers bomb the nuclear potential. I call it the nuclear dust. So I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. And I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there. The other thing is
he's like a baby. He's like a child. He's mad like a child. First, the Omani foreign minister came out and revealed that there was a deal on the table that met Trump's demands, but that he instead chose war. And now it is revealed that the British National Security Advisor was also part of the talks, and he too attests to the fact that A, there was no imminent threat from Iran, B, Trump could have gotten a surprisingly good deal if he stuck to diplomacy, but the perhaps most damning quote in the story comes at the end, attributed to an unnamed diplomat. We regarded Witkoff and Kushner as Israeli assets that dragged the president into a war he wants to get out of. On the negotiations front, Witkoff and Kushner are unreliable and are totally seen as Israeli agents by other parties involved with the meetings. Lindsey Graham literally openly admitted that he went to Israel numerous times in order to get the right information from Israeli agents so he could sell this war to Donald Trump. Both Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and numerous other officials at this point have said this is Israel's war and we're fighting it for them. And yet, saying it out loud is considered fucking anti-Semitic by the very same institutions that absolutely know this is Israel's war that America is waging on its behalf. It's ridiculous, okay? It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. If you say we went to war for Israel and that's good, there's no problem. If you say we went to war for Israel and that's bad, you're a bigot. Yeah. The pro-Israel hawks upset at me because Joe Kent is listing Israel's influence in this war as a part of the rationale. Might I suggest the president and secretary of state stop talking about Israel's influence on getting into this war and offer other rationale that is even remotely plausible that justifies American troop deaths and $100 billion taxpayer commitment. Tim Miller is right. Okay? He's right. The idea that this is the dynamic. This is straight up the dynamic. If you say we went to war for Israel and that is good, there's no problem. If you say we went to war for Israel and that is bad, you're a bigot. It's the same principle that mainstream media applies to Zionism and its conflation to Judaism. If you say Israel is the Jewish state and that's a good thing and we must defend them, okay, then it's good. It's fine. Jake Tapper does it all the time. If you say Israel is the Jewish state and that's a bad thing and we can't defend them, then you're a fucking anti-Semite. And the truth is, it is anti-Semitic to just be like, no, this is actually being done for Judaism. But it's crazy. Americans oftentimes have a hard time grasping nuance. But this situation, like this design, this double standard is so silly that the average American looks at it and goes, nah, this is fucked up. I don't like it. That's it. Yeah, Jake Tapper is retweeting that Kent is an anti-Semite. Right on fucking cue. Now, let's talk about why Israel killed Ali Larijani if he's actually dead. There's a high likelihood that he is. Like I said, Israel oftentimes lies about everything, but the one the one thing that they don't lie about is usually high-profile assassinations, right? Trita Parsi says, I see 3 potential motivations behind the assassination attempt. 1, Israel is trying to literally kill off Trump's off-ramps. Larijani was not only a key figure within the regime who had emerged as the chief consensus builder, but also to kill off Trump's off-ramps, literally someone whose favorite talks to the U.S. and who could build consensus within the system for an Iranian off-ramp at some point. He also favored de-escalation with the GCC states and supported Pezeshkian's message on that point, though not the apology. There had been some efforts by Larijani to speak directly with senior Trump officials in December, for instance, to prevent the war. The Israelis want the war to continue to degrade Iran's military capabilities further, to shift the balance in the region in Israel's favor for years to come. They have fought for more than 2 decades to get the U.S. to go to full war with Iran. And having finally achieved that goal, they do not want Trump to cut the war short. Without figures like Larijani and the Iranian system, Trump's pathways to ending the war just got narrower. Number 2, the U.S.-Israeli strategy may be shifting back to regime decapitation. The reason for this is that it's becoming increasingly clear that reopening the Straits of Hormuz militarily is simply too risky, and there is no international coalition willing to support Trump. But the Straits must be reopened from Trump's perspective because of the impact on energy markets, which eventually will impact gas and food prices in the U.S., and push Trump's own base to turn against this war. But if he cannot open it militarily, then the original idea of regime implosion may prove another path. As such, the killing of Larijani may have been seen as a second bite at the apple. The first bite, the assassination of Khamenei, did not yield results. But a few more assassinations of key figures may, the thinking would go. Now, there is no proof that this is successful. As a matter of fact, there's proof that this has been unsuccessful, right? I mean, they closed the Strait of Hormuz after Khamenei was killed. And they have a decentralized mosaic structure in their defenses anyway. And that's precisely the reason why they've been actively pummeling the Gulf states and Israel as well, and destroying American assets in the region and killing American troops in the region since the decapitation strike took place. So the idea that like Larijani's assassination would do anything but piss off Iran further and cause them to continue their war efforts is ridiculous. But once again, it ties back to Israel's ambitions of destabilizing Iran. Number 3, opportunity. The assassination may have also simply occurred because the opportunity presented itself rather than having been motivated by either a shift in strategy or a sabotage effort by the Israelis to kill off Trump's off-ramps. Either way, while this undoubtedly is a significant tactical blow to the Islamic Republic, it is difficult to envision it considerably impacting Tehran's war execution. Plans for these eventualities had already been established during the June war. Moreover, when relatively moderate voices have been killed by Israel, they have more often than not been replaced by a younger generation of more hawkish voices who oppose Iran's policy of strategic patience, who oppose the June ceasefire, and who currently oppose any de-escalation or ceasefire. Whether this was Israel's intent or not, the most likely outcome, nevertheless, is the destruction of potential off-ramps for Trump. Jan Eliasson, former Deputy Secretary General of the UN and Foreign Minister of Sweden, also responds to Trita Parsi's assessment and says, Ali Larijani was one of the key leading figures in the end favoring the nuclear deal JCPOA in 2015. I had long and constructive talks in Tehran with him as the Speaker of the Mejlis at the time. Are off-ramps people to negotiate with? Off-ramps, as in the people on the Iranian government side that are willing and interested in having talks with the Americans. Okay? Ali Larijani is one of those people. While he is seen as a unification figure inside of Iran, due to his interest in holding the more moderate forces together alongside the IRGC, he's still more of a hardliner than, Khamenei was. However, in the current administration officials that remain in Iran, he was one of the only that has actually talked to the American side in the past. So killing him would be killing him basically kills the opportunity to come to the table and engage in a sincere ceasefire effort. So Israel is assassinating regime targets that are interested in dealing with America. At the end of this military campaign, there is going to come a point. There is going to be a point where America and Iran are going to get to they're going to come to the table. The problem is the Israeli side keeps killing all the people that would be willing to talk to the Americans. And the Iranians are responding by putting a person in their stead that is more hardliner than the past person that was assassinated. This already happened with Khamenei's son. Mojtaba Khamenei is seen as a much more anti-Western figure than his father was. What's the point? The point is Israel wants to continue destabilizing Iran and continue sucking America in to a longer war effort that they will not directly participate in. Israel is not going to put their sons and daughters on the ground in Iran. Israel knows that they can get American boots on the ground, however. That's it. And if they invade Iran militarily, this might actually devastate the American economy. It might collapse what remains of like confidence that people have in America being a stabilizing figure in the world. But it's very obvious that Israel doesn't make these calculations. Israel is thinking, oh, well, America is the most powerful military on the planet, which is true. So if they go in, even if America actually suffers devastating blows in the hands of the Iranians, there will only be more appetite for death and destruction on Iran by the American public. Like, they're gambling here. Their bargain is they can get America into this long war. They can push America into this long war with boots on the ground, military occupation. They don't care about the logistical hurdles that America simply cannot overcome at this stage. Okay? They just want short-sighted death and destruction of Iran. They want the Iranian state to collapse. Why, though, Israel doesn't care about their troops dying? They absolutely do. What are you talking? Look. That was crazy. It's back. It's back. M Israel high. 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 Okay. I don't know what happened there. Apologies to the beautiful nation state of Israel. Greatest country in the world. More American troops should be thrown into the meat grinder in an effort to preserve Israel's strategic interests by diminishing the Gulf states and also destroying Iran entirely. A source familiar with private plans and discussions tells me Ali Larijani was, for the U.S. and Israel, the most favored transitional candidate as of September 2025, but became a target early February 2026. Vote blue or Netanyahu. Yeah. The source said Larijani became a target when he pushed for crackdown on protesters, took front seat in lashing out against U.S. and Israel, assumed key role in strategizing the IRGC kinetic actions, in particular against the Gulf states. Anyway, let's continue with this.
And I think, very important, we didn't have to be there for Ukraine. Biden chose to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine. And I guess the head of Germany just made a statement that, well, they weren't involved and they have nothing to do with the war. But at the same time, they think we did a great thing by knocking them out. Nobody wants to have Iran, or anybody, but nobody wants to have Iran with a nuclear, because these people are crazy. They're absolutely crazy, and they're vicious, violent. I mean, they killed, think of it, they killed, now I hear it's about 41,000 people. They put out a notice 2 days ago. Anybody that protests will be immediately shot and killed. That's pretty tough stuff. So everyone agrees with us, but they don't want to help. And we as the United States have to remember that, because we think it's pretty shocking.
President Macron has just said in the last hour that he will never join a task force in the Strait of Hormuz until hostilities finish. Yet yesterday you said...
Who said that? Who said?
President Macron of France. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Well, he'll be out of office very soon, so we'll have to see. I don't know.
Mr. President, Trump, on Doonbeg, you're building an extension to it at the moment, but there's been an objection put in, and it's being held back at the moment due to small snails. What are you disappointed about that?
Planning Commission is
I have not heard that. No.
Mr. President.
I mean, the course was built and it's been operated very successfully. Somebody's objecting. Human and environmental group is objecting to.
What the fuck?
Mr. President.
Okay, I'm not alone. I guess they're having issues too, huh?
At least. Qatar has been great. UAE has been absolutely great. Saudi Arabia has been terrific. Bahrain has been very good. The Middle Eastern countries have been very strong in their support. And of course, Israel has been our partner. Israel's been very, very strong, along with our.
What the fuck? That's not on my end.
Against Iran. If you look back ago, I talked about Iran was a big threat to this country, to this world of ours, and turned out to be I was right. In fact, I said you have to attack Karg Island. You have to attack them years ago when they were acting up. They've been acting up for 37, 47, I guess now 48 years. For 48 years, they've been bad players, vicious players, and you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they got a nuclear weapon, I would say they would have used it within 24 hours after having it. And they would have had it if we didn't bomb them out from that great raid with the.
Yeah, if they had a nuclear weapon, Israel and America wouldn't be doing what they're doing currently, just so you understand. Just so we're clear. If they had nukes, there would be regional stability.
B-2 bombers 8 months ago or so, you would have had a nuclear war in the Middle East and maybe beyond. I think it would have hit Europe. Maybe not Ireland, but it would have hit Europe. I think you would have been a nice piece of it there. It all gets you. It's big enough that you would have been affected. They would have hit Europe eventually.
Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that President...
Yeah, this is also crazy. Oh, dude, yeah, our head of counterterrorism was actually weak on terrorism. He was weak on countering terrorism. If you thought he was weak on security, why would you hire him as the lead on counterterrorism is the question that any competent journalist should be asking the president currently.
They should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when they sent Boeing 757s over there, loaded with cash? hundreds of millions of dollars. You would have been very happy. This was a wonderful. They said hundreds of millions. People forget that. Does anybody remember? Right? You remember. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a Boeing 757. I think they had two of them loaded. They took the seats out and they put cash. And it was so much that there wasn't a bank in Virginia, Maryland, or D.C. that had any money left. They stripped them of all their money, put it into place, sent it to Iran, almost as ransom. That's not going to happen with Trump. And nobody ever did anything about it. Nobody ever said anything about it. Can you imagine if I did that? So they've been a threat for a long time. But they've really been a threat. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made, the Iran nuclear deal, you would have had a nuclear war 4 years ago. You would have had nuclear holocaust, and you would have had it again if we didn't bomb the site. So when somebody is working with us that says they didn't,
this is all bullshit. Like every single thing that he's saying here is fucking bullshit. Iran was not a nuclear threat. Iran was not an imminent threat. Iran having nukes obviously is something that the American government and the Israeli government would never allow them to have. Like, you don't want any foreign adversary to have nukes, clearly. But if we're pulling ourselves out, like, because you're not the American government, I'm not the American government, you're an ordinary American citizen. If you're like looking at this seriously, of course, Iran and every other foreign adversary or any other nation in the periphery having nukes objectively leads to them being able to develop in the ways that they want to. It allows them to have sovereignty. So that's just facts, okay? If Iran had nukes, the region would be more stable because Israel would not be able to behave in the belligerent ways that it is behaving currently. Obama has literally been out of office for a decade, but this old man refused to let his petty grievances go. Yes, Obama was the last effort. Obama was the last effort. The JCPOA was an objectively good deal for American interests. That was dealing with Iran through sanctions relief and dealing with Iran through diplomacy, something that they were very clearly interested in doing, especially because Ali Khamenei had a fatwa on no nuclear weapons regardless, right? And all of the the uranium enrichment that they were engaging in after Donald Trump came in and destroyed the JCPOA was simply so they can have an upper hand and leverage in the negotiations. Agree 90%, but they didn't allow inspection of certain sites. That's not true. No. Iran was faithfully following through on the JCPOA agreements through and through. That's just not correct. Because the JCPOA was not just a bilateral commitment between the United States of America and Iran. The JCPOA is a multilateral agreement that actually brought in China, Russia, and the European Union as collaborative partners. The International Atomic Energy Agency had literal round-the-clock surveillance inside of Iranian facilities, and I believe they still do for many of the facilities that haven't been destroyed or whatever. So the idea, they had cameras on the enrichment sites. So the idea that Iran was sneakily still developing a nuclear weapon is incorrect. At least during I remember reading something like that in 2018. I wasn't fully aware. Yes, that was a lie. You got duped by Israeli pro-Israel media. Okay? As a matter of fact, I will go so far as to say that not only was Iran abiding by their commitments to the JCPOA, they continue to do so after Trump openly said, we're throwing the JCPOA in the pile. It's over. It's done. I'm ripping it apart. Iran still continued abiding by it. Iran was still continuing to abide by the agreements. Okay? Like the agreements outlined in the JCPOA. And not only were they continuing to follow in good faith the negotiations and the limits that were placed, they even allowed European investigators access into the sites after Donald Trump said that he was throwing this deal in the pile. Okay. It was only after Donald Trump added secondary sanctions to the IRGC and secondary sanctions to Iran did they say, all right, fuck it, we're going back to nuclear grade uranium enrichment. And they started enriching uranium beyond the civilian limit that they had previously abided by. Okay? That was only after. It wasn't even after Donald Trump said openly the JCPOA is done. They did it after Trump added sanctions. And the reason why they actually started enriching uranium once again beyond the civilian levels was so they can establish leverage in the next round of talks that would inevitably take place. Right? So that was the reality. And there was literally, here in 2018, just like with the Iraq WMD situation, just like with the Iraq WMD lie, when there were international investigators that actually said, no, America is lying. We've seen the sites that they claim have WMDs. These sites do not have weapons of mass destruction. And America said, fuck you. Okay. The exact same thing happened with Iran complying with the nuclear deal restrictions, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency report in 2018. Okay? So just remember that. Vienna. Iran has remained within the main restrictions on its nuclear activities imposed by a 2015 deal with major powers, a confidential report by the UN Atomic Watchdog indicated on Thursday. America lied about it, though. The Trump administration said, nuh-uh, that's not true, for no reason other than the fact that Israel did not want this deal to stand. That's it.
Didn't think Iran was a threat. We don't want those people because, and there are some people, I guess I would say that, but they're not smart people or they're not savvy people. Iran was a tremendous threat. And virtually every NATO nation, and this is the thing, if they told me it wasn't a threat, and therefore they don't want to help, but when they say it was a threat, and it was a major threat, every one of them, I think every one of them, I don't know of one that said they're not a threat.
It is not Israel. Please read the relevant sections of that paper. Which path the project explicitly lines this out to make the deal appealing to international powers so that any lack of compromise from IR would be seen by global powers as they brought it on themselves. Do you know of that paper released by CSIS, I believe? Read mine, please. It is not Israel. Please read the relevant sections of that paper. Anyone that tries to tell me that Israel wasn't the primary spoiler of this multilateral deal that was literally put in place even before Barack Obama, like the Iran denuclearization agreement took a decade to accomplish, okay? It took a decade to accomplish. It required China and Russia's cooperation. It required European partners' cooperation. The International Atomic Energy Agency is basically an institution that is 90% tasked with Iran. That's it. That's like it's crazy because like you would think that they are actually abiding by like the non-proliferation treaties and taking a look at like every country with nuclear arms and their nuclear facilities and what kind of nuclear warheads they have. No, it is almost entirely tasked. 90% of all of their efforts are specifically designed around ensuring that Iran is abiding by the standards of the JCPOA. Okay? Straight up, Israel was the only spoiling party in the JCPOA. They hated it. They hated Obama for accomplishing it. And when they got their guy in charge, Donald Trump, they immediately got Donald Trump to throw it in the fucking pile. What is this statement? So if Larijani's dead truly, which I guess 99% he is, what would be the next move from your perspective? I think that overall IRGC and affiliates should avoid public appearances first and foremost. I mean, yeah, they shouldn't be out and about. I don't know why the fuck they would ever put themselves out there, especially when like Israel still has tremendous surveillance capabilities inside of Iran and has like established air superiority when necessary, right? Yeah, I don't really understand why they would fucking put themselves out there as sitting ducks. You're telling me Israel killed the last martyr with actual influence inside the Islamic Republic who could have ended this war? Now, why would Israel do that? It's almost like you're saying they are a country driven by an unstoppable lust for war, death, and destruction. What Israel is now doing is eliminating people within the Islamic Republic who advocated for strategic patience and who would be amenable to negotiating an off-ramp in the future. In other words, creating the context for an endless conflict. Yeah. Going back to the 2015 JCPOA deal, though, that Donald Trump ripped apart, even after Donald Trump said that the Iranian government was not abiding by the agreement, European partners actually counteracted that. They said, no, that's not the case. Iran is actually following the negotiations in good faith, just so you understand. And yet, of course, American media fucking lied about it at the time. I covered it, but no one really gives a shit. Let's be real. Just like right now, there is a heightened amount of scrutiny around like the ways in which Israel operates. And even then, there's still plenty of fucking average normies who don't understand any of this stuff.
But when they say it was a threat, but we're not going to help, I think they're very foolish. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting because I could say this, that what's happening in Ukraine, we're probably in there for $400 billion. We don't spend any money anymore. They buy it from us and they pay full price. But Biden gave them between $350 and $400 billion of equipment.
What a joke. He wasn't a fucking moderate. He was responsible for forced concessions from people. No. That's why I said he's not. He's a moderate in comparison to the current leadership of Iran. Okay? You have to understand, Ali Larijani was considered not a moderate, but pragmatic. Okay? He was in the current administration in Iran, one of the most moderate figures that remain. Okay? People like you, by the way. What do you mean? Oh, you're saying yes, he engaged in tremendous repression against Mossadegists and communists. Yeah, I know, dude. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter. Okay? It's so stupid. Yeah, you think I don't fucking know that? What are you talking about? I'm very aware of that. I'm not. Oh my God, these guys. It is utterly irrelevant now, don't you think? No, he's not wrong. He's trying to do the classic thing where it's like, oh, the IRGC forces were tremendously repressive towards communist Iranians and Iranians that align with your framework, with your perspective. You think I don't fucking know that? I do know that. Yes. Also, what do I always say? Even the most moderate figures, okay, even the most moderate figures within the Iranian government have always been endlessly repressive and very brutal when it comes to their own domestic affairs. Okay? Yeah, I know. Part of that is part of that is the fears that they might lose their grip on power. And part of that is due to instability born out of foreign intervention. But ultimately, it currently doesn't matter. At this stage, it doesn't matter, especially if we're talking about sovereign states communicating with other sovereign states or state versus state violence. It's utterly irrelevant in this process. So yes, it is true that Larijani was very brutal when it came to squashing protests, when it came to cracking down on protesters. That is true. Larijani was the epitome of a power broker. He could work with anyone and has been deep in Iranian power for decades. He was always a principalist, but he was a pragmatist. He had a working relationship with moderates, clerics, and the IRGC, which was basically unique only to him. Yes. His death, if true, means the IRGC will harden their stances and will completely refuse to work with the moderates unless there is another figure in the Iranian government that I don't know about that is capable of bringing these forces together. People who watch you for a few days seem to think you think highly of the Iranian government, even though you criticize them all the time. I guess Americans can't handle criticism of their war without a sentence like the IRGC is very bad. No, the reason for why they get mad at me is because I do also say something that is very frustrating for a lot of people in the diaspora, a lot of people who are very upset with the Iranian government's like domestic repression, and that is, it is utterly irrelevant in this current calculation. Okay, the Iranian government's crackdowns are utterly irrelevant in this calculation. Israel and America has shown that they have no interest in like liberating the Iranian population. I never believed that anyway. I never lent it any credence whatsoever. And I also understand the calculation that foreign adversary governments take when dealing with any sort of domestic instability. That's the reason why people think I'm like sympathetic to the IRGC. Between the IRGC as it stands, the Iranian government, the regime as it stands, is the only hope that the Iranian people have in keeping this country intact. Okay? If the IRGC falls apart, if the current government cannot hold itself together, there is no more Iran. Iran falls into permanent conflict, sectarian violence, ethnic tensions. It gets balkanized by foreign invaders, and it is destroyed. Okay? Thousands of years of culture and history is destroyed. It's gone. Okay? That is the reason why, yes, as far as taking a principled stance against intervention here, yes, I'm saying very openly that the IRGC, regardless of his brutality internally, regardless of his repression, is literally the only hope that Iranians have, 93 million Iranians have, in staving off a balkanized fail state that Iran will become if Israel gets its objectives across. It's possible his power is already waning. I don't know if I trust the claims, but I saw a reporting that Larijani was working with Hassan Rouhani behind the scenes to prevent the IRGC from pushing a supreme leader through the assembly until after the war was over. If Larijani is truly gone, the IRGC is the only pillar left with real power. Civilians, clerics, military. Yeah. Wrong assessment, in my opinion. It is the only assessment. It is the only correct assessment. There is no next day plan, okay? There is no separate government. There is nothing. It's either IRGC or Libya. It's that simple. It's either IRGC or Libya. Anyone that believes that Iran can be balkanized and become a better country as a consequence of that is delusional. Okay? And more often than not, wrong in that Iran will probably hold itself together regardless. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Balkanized, like as in chopped apart, region by region. What? Man, you don't have to present every dead Iranian government as some moderate. This guy is the guy who killed all the protesters. Fuck Israel, but don't glaze the guy. Just don't mention him. Love you, Hassan. By the way, you're doing it, Tucker Carlson. Jews did this. Jews did that. A sober assessment of Larijani and the role that he could possibly play in the negotiations that you hear not only from me, but from literally like you hear from previous heads of state is not me glazing Iran or glazing Larijani. It's me just giving you the truth, okay? Even if you don't want to fucking hear it. A moderate figure in the Iranian government doesn't have to be a cheery guy, okay? He's not like some bold, brave revolutionary. Shut the fuck up. It's so ridiculous. Also, I don't know what Jews have to do with this at all.
in cash. Someday they'll have to find out about the cash. And you could say that wasn't a threat, you know, we're helping them. So we helped them, and they didn't help us. And I think that's a very bad thing for NATO.
Mr. President.
Are there any repercussions for NATO, and are you still going to China?
Well, yeah, on China, it's a little different story. We're resetting the meeting, and it looks like it'll take place in about 5 weeks. We're working with China. They were fine with it. We're going to say, I look forward to seeing President Xi. He looks forward to seeing me, I think. But I do look forward to seeing him. We have a good relationship.
Oh, by the way, for the record, another thing that I do sincerely stand on is that, yes, regardless of like what Iran contributed to in Syria, for example, all of that still in mind in this calculation, Iran is better than Israel. Yes, 100%, and better than America too. Regardless of every single death that Iran contributed to in the fucking region, they are still a better force. Regardless of every single Iranian that the Iranian government killed, even with all of that calculation in mind, when you compare it to Israel's actions against people that it currently occupies, the Palestinian people, it's not even a comparison. That's part of the reason why the Israel First crowd has actively said, oh, Iran killed 30,000 people. Iran killed 80,000 people in a matter of a day and a day or two. The reason why they say that is so they can try to bring up in the Western world, like the reputation of Iran to like something that's even remotely comparable to what Israel has done to the Palestinians. Okay? The real number is somewhere between 7,000 and possibly like a more liberal estimation would be 10,000, which is an incredibly high number. It's completely unacceptable, but it is utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. It's utterly irrelevant in this calculation because America is murdering school children. America and Israel are blowing up desalination plants. America and Israel are attacking Iran and decapitating the heads of state with the overarching goal of destabilizing Iran and turning into a failed state. The number of casualties, the number of deaths, the number of displaced will be in the fucking millions. Okay? It's just not even a question.
With China. China actually has become economically for us very good, as you know. It's much different than it was in the past. And we have a very good working relationship with China. So we're making it in about 5 or 6 weeks.
Mr. President.
NATO for not supporting you on this. Any repercussions?
Well, no, I just think that it's not good for a partnership when they say what you're doing is a great thing, but we're not going to help.
Yeah, 30 to 50,000 deaths in less than a week would leave mass graves visible via satellite. Tons of people actually killed over foreign operatives. Yeah, no, it's just, it's ridiculous. Like I've told you already, it's not only ridiculous, but it's utterly irrelevant. It's just made up. It's completely fucking made up. The idea that like Iran killed, 50,000, 80,000, or even 30,000 people in a matter of 2 fucking days. I think the 10,000 number is already incredibly high. I'm saying like the highest estimates are like the Harana estimates are around 7,000, which I think is it factors in virtually every single person that's being killed. Donald Trump keeps throwing ridiculous numbers around as well. It's just, they're doing it with no care or consideration for people who have actually been killed. They're doing this because they think it's good for propagandizing why they're bombing Iran.
Mr. President, they say what you did is a great thing, but we're not going to help.
Mr. President, in Iran, because the Iranian regime has told Sky News, if you put boots on the ground in Iran, it will be another Vietnam. Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm not afraid of. I'm really not afraid of anything.
Mr. President, are you rethinking the United States' relationship with NATO possibly getting out?
Well, I'm disappointed in NATO. We spend trillions of dollars on NATO. Think of it, trillions over the years, many trillions of dollars. It's one of the reasons we have deficits and we help other countries. And when they don't help us, I mean, it's certainly something that we should think about. I don't need Congress for that decision. As you probably know, I can make that decision myself. I'd work with some very smart people. And I'd always deal with Congress anyway, but I don't need Congress for that decision. But, you know, when you say rethink, I have nothing currently in mind, but I will say that I'm not exactly thrilled when we help them with Ukraine. Look, Ukraine would have been over in one day if we didn't help. Frankly, Ukraine would have been over in the first day. They had the best equipment in the world. It was our equipment, given by sleepy Joe Biden. No charge, no charge. Hundreds of billions of dollars of the best equipment in the world, no charge. I will say that I'm not happy about it.
Mr. President,
Mr.
how's
President.
your relationship with
Two questions, one on Iran and one on Cuba. Is Iran now a bigger foreign policy priority for you than China? And on Cuba, the Cuban government.
Iran is just a military operation to me.
Base
Iran
Trump,
is
go Trump
something that
forever.
was essentially largely over in 2 or 3 days because the Navy was wiped out almost immediately. The Air Force came next. The anti-aircraft came next. I mean, we're flying over Iran. We could take out their electric capacity in 1 hour. We have all the, there's nothing they can do right now because everything is knocked out. They have no radar, no anti-aircraft. They have nothing. And we don't, and it was a decision I made. We discussed it. Pete, Marco, JD, all of us, Chris, we discussed it. We can knock out their electricity in a matter of minutes if we wanted to. There's nothing they can do about it. We can knock out their oil in Carg Island. The only thing we didn't take down was their oil because if we knock out, I call them the pipes, very complex. But if you do that, it'll take them forever to rebuild, meaning whoever, and hopefully it's a sane group of people, but whoever it is that's going to be running that, and we're going to try to get people that are going to run it well, and you know it's going to be a prosperous, wonderful place. It used to be, you know, if you go back, it used to be the people are great, the people are smart and energetic, and it used to be very successful. Now it's a country run by fear. It's a country where they tell protesters, don't go outside because if you do, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.